Welcome to Memorial Stadium, Lincoln, Nebraska, and home of the Cornhuskers. As we'll see the number 18 team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines, taking on the winners of 3 straight, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, joined here in the booth by a couple of legends, and yes, we do use that term loosely. David Pollack from the University of Georgia and former Gator Jesse Palmer. Guys, let's get down to the field. The Cornhuskers will kick it off to get us underway. Here he comes from inside his own 5. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. So the Michigan Wolverines offense has the ball first today. And they are coming off a sensational performance led by this quarterback who's hoping he can build on things, Jesse.
Well, I know, having played the position, when you have a big game, you just can't wait to get back out there again and build on that performance. David, last time out, he was making the right reads. He showed off his arm talent. He had this offense moving up and down the field and finding the end zone. And you know he's excited to take on this defense today.
Yeah, and talking to the defensive coordinators coming to this football game, like, they're not going to do what happened last week. Like, you can't sit back and make the coverages easy for him to diagnose. He'll pick you apart like he did last week. Look for some chain.
He lobs one high down the left side. Hauls it in down the sideline. And a pickup of better than 30 yards on that completion before the defense brings him down.
And this offense showing off the explosiveness, the big play down the field. This is so big because what it makes defenses do to react now. Now you scare them. Now you make them drop back a little bit. So that big passing play opens up this whole offense.
That last play changed everything on this possession. They've got it 1st and 10 inside the 30. He'll pull it on the read. He just could not get loose, and they'll knock him down 4 yards behind the line. This crowd bringing the energy and noise early. From the gun, the running back looking for room. And he fights his way forward, gets away from one, but not much doing on that one. Running back searching for a hole. Turning it on! That will be enough to move the chains and give them a first down in the red zone at the 14. On the run, it's Haynes. He's tackled right at the 10-yard line, and they're trying to cash in on this drive. It'll be 2nd down, and remember, they can pick up a first without scoring. Stopped in the backfield. He's going to lose 3 yards on the play. 3rd down play in the red zone, and this crowd is at fever pitch. Looking downfield, it's Underwood. And a missed opportunity on 3rd down as the defense knocks it free, and 4th down is coming up. It's wise not to be too greedy, and they'll go ahead and send out the field goal unit. This crowd trying to do its part to get inside the kicker's head. No good. After the miss, no change in the score. The Cornhuskers offense has the ball for the first time. They are going to be greeted rather rudely, I guess, by a group of defensive linemen that wreak havoc and hunt down quarterbacks, Jesse.
And they wreck games. They take away everything you do offensively. So it's a huge challenge in this one, David, for this offensive coordinator to try to call plays and find ways to get the football away from these big fellas up front because they take games over.
And get the ball out quick. Like when you've got a defensive line that can penetrate, they can get TFLs, get sacks. It's going to be on this offensive line to buy a little bit of time, but also the ball to come out quick, win in the secondary right now.
The Huskers will line up to punt it away. This will be their first punt of the afternoon. Not going to risk a return here. He'll make the fair catch. So the first play of the drive starting here from the 45. Off the bootleg, wants to toss it. Unloads to the wideout. And that incomplete pass caused by the big hit on first down. Second down coming. Behind the chains now on second and long. A little misdirection and the handoff on the counter. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Third down and the Husker faithful getting loud, trying to make moving the chains impossible. They get to him as he throws. And this is going to be incomplete on third down. And the Wolverines will punt it away on fourth down. And you make the stop, and that is exactly what you want out of your punt cover unit. And here comes the Nebraska offense back onto the field. They didn't get much done the last time they had it. Had to punt it away from deep in their own territory, hoping this drive will be more productive. Nice move to pick up yardage. Good, solid, determined run there. They'll mark him down at the 27. And the Huskers in a good spot here with second and short. Grabbed behind the line, it's Hunter. He's brought down, but he went backwards after that completion, not the way they had it drawn up. Looking to throw, it's Raiola. Grabbed over the middle, it's Barney. And he's got enough for the first down. They'll mark it at the 34. The Cornhuskers come to the line with a fresh set of downs. Looking to throw on first down. Going to try to pop one on the screen. And they picked up 9 on first down. It'll bring up second and short. The give to the back. He's loose. Nice pickup on the ground there. They'll move the sticks with the first down. The Huskers look to keep this drive humming. To the ground. He's got it again. A 7-yard pickup. It'll be second and 3. Stuck with a running game on first down. Now here they come again. To the ground with the back. And this one will be stopped for no gain. And the Huskers are at the line looking to convert on third and short. He's going to look for a man on third and short. Quarterback feeling that pressure, and he's knocked down at the 42.
Oh, it's a missed opportunity. You know the quarterback was excited. He saw man coverage. He thought he was going to have an opportunity to come up with a big play, but up front they could not protect him well enough.
The Cornhuskers send out the punt unit. This will be the second time they've had to kick it away. And that punt will sail out of bounds. Let's see where the officials spot it. First snap of this drive comes from the 32. Looking downfield on first down. Finds his tight end. Really nice pickup there as they have it out to the 44 with the first down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. Making sure they have good balance, keeping it on the ground. The margin for error is so small in this conference. It's really imperative to get off to a good start in Big Ten play.
Especially, Reese, since you're adding so much talent now to this conference. But, yeah, year in and year out, you know the mainstays in this conference, but there's always some surprises. And I'll be interested to see how everybody starts off this season. Listen, this is your first opportunity, Palmer, in conference play, in a major conference, obviously in the Big Ten, to make your first statement.
And it's going to be taxing all season long for these players. Physically, obviously, and you expect that in the Big Ten Conference. But now adding all those West Coast teams, these guys are going to be flying back and forth across the country a lot this year. They have to get off to a fast start today. That's what makes this game so critical.
They'll give it to Johnson. Quick spin on the run. Just wanted to find a little space to run and ekes out some to get it up to the 21. We've reached the end of the first quarter, and it has been a defensive battle, and the stats tell the tale so far. Let's see if the offenses can find a little rhythm here in the second. The Huskers with myriad options after that big pickup on first down. Tight end in motion, see how the D reacts. The run from the shotgun. They bring him down, but not before he's able to pick up the first down. They moved the chains on the ground last time. Let's see if they try to hit him up top. Here's the handoff. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage. Got stuffed on first down. It's 2nd and 10. To the air. It's Raiola. Fires to the tight end. He's really close to that first down marker, but they stop him just a bit short. And the Huskers are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. Grab near the marker. It's Key. Really nice job there to pick up the first down and get it to their own 41. Looking to throw on first down. Oh, he makes the play. It's intercepted. Going the other way, and he's got room. And after the interception return, he gets it down to the 32-yard line.
And I tell you what, when defenses play zone, all eyes are on the quarterback. You have a zone to drop to, but you're setting on the quarterback, reading his eyes. Great job by the defense, understanding the ball was coming out, breaks on the football, goes and makes the INT.
So here comes the Michigan offense. They had to punt last time they had it. Highly unlikely that'll happen here, barring utter disaster. Great field position. From the comfort of the pocket, he fires it to the right. He makes the catch. He's knocked down immediately, but they'll have a goal-to-goal situation from the 8. They'll try to get it in with the run. He's brought down at the 7-yard line, and they are threatening to take it in. Defense rose up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long. Touchdown, Michigan! The finisher, the exclamation point on that drive.
Really nice job working the route and getting himself open. He was able to locate the football, snag it out of the air, and this guy now has 5 receiving touchdowns on the year.
Setting up for the extra point after the first score of the game. And the PAT makes it 7-0. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. From inside his own 10, he'll try to help out their field position. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. Looking to throw, it's Raiola. Quickly out to the tight end.
Nice quick throw there. And it's so important for quarterbacks to be able to find a rhythm and to be comfortable and confident. You want to just get the ball out quickly, make it an accurate and easy throw. And you can tell that these two guys, they rep that play in practice all the time, and it's now showing up here on game.
It'll be 3rd and long. From the gun, wants to pass. And that's incomplete. A defender all over him. Knocked the ball to the ground. 4th down coming up. The Cornhuskers will try to pin them back with the punt. Coverage team able to put a stop to that return at the 42-yard line. They'll start this drive from the 42. Leaves it with the back. And he'll pick up 1. It brings up 2nd and 9. Went to the running game on 1st down. Now here they come again. They'll move the tight end. Going to sling it on 2nd down. That's caught. It's Morgan. And he was able to get away from one tackle, but plenty of help was on the way. Decent pickup on that play. He'll keep it himself. Turning on the Jets. Just what they'd hoped for on third down as they've got a first at the 32. The Wolverines come to the line with a new set of downs. They keep feeding him in this running game, and the defense is having none of it, and it's been that way all day. Quarterback may change this route. They'll toss it to the left. Gets it inside the 30, down to the 27, a pickup of 6. The black shirts looking to this crowd, and they are delivering energy on this big third down. They've got it just outside the red zone. They'll move the chains. It's at the 21. And the Wolverines are moving quickly down the field. The give on the inside. Really good running. Gets it into the red zone, and they'll have it at the 16. Halfway there on first down, it's 2nd and 5. They run the reverse. And the defense played that one beautifully, and they'll knock him down for a loss. This crowd knows they have to bring it in big moments, and one of those has arrived. Looking to throw, it's Underwood. Got it in the middle, it's Morgan. The stop is made, but this offense is threatening. 1st and goal from the 9. On the doorstep of cashing it in for the offense. With the run on 1st and goal. Stop behind the line, he'll lose a yard. Defense rolls up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long coming. Back to pass. Snagged in the middle, it's Haynes. That completion will take it inside the 4, and the offense is threatening. On 3rd and goal, you can't hear yourself thinking here. Give to the back. Great penetration by this defense, and they knock him down behind the line, a loss of 1. And on 4th down, here comes the field goal unit. This whole place going to see if this kicker can operate in a sea of noise. Oh, he missed it, no good. And the margin remains at 7 after the miss. Quarterback on the keeper. Oh, it's loose. Defense swarming on that loose ball. It'll be a turnover.
And I tell you what, it's hard to be a quarterback in an option offense when you got so many things you have to be accountable for, and then you got to take care of the football, right? When you do make the decision to run, right or wrong, it's your decision. Now you got to wrap that thing up. You can't fumble the football there.
They take over late in the half, enough time to put together a drive. Tight end now in motion. From the gun, the running back tries to hit the hole. Pulled down after a nice run, and they're in the red zone at the 19. The Wolverines can play this 2nd down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. He'll do it himself. Stopped in the backfield. He's going to lose 3 yards on the play. Here comes this home crowd as the defense tries to get off the field on 3rd down. Catch in the middle, it's McCulley. They bring him down, but he's got a 1st and goal from the 10. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. And the Wolverines will try to put one on the board on 1st and goal. They'll try to get it in with the run. He's brought down at the 6, but the defense feeling the heat to make a stop here. Quick timeout from the offense to save precious seconds. They keep pushing forward now, back to work on 2nd and goal from the 6. Here's the pressure. Buys a little time. And he'll race it to the house. Touchdown, Wolverines.
You know, there's so many coaches out there in 2-minute situations at the end of the half with the lead that'll just be happy taking the lead into halftime. This guy's staying aggressive, Bill. Pedal to the metal, David, and you saw it paid off there for the touchdown.
Yeah, and let's finish this half now. And now we got a nice lead. Built a little bit of a lead, but the defense has to go back out there. There's still a little bit of time, so get that stop to keep that momentum you just got, and everybody will be jacked up at halftime.
They'll try to tack one more on their score. The kick is up and good and put one more on the lead. A very efficient 5-play scoring drive. They're getting set to kick it away, and that last score took a little oomph out of this crowd. From inside the 10-yard line, he'll bring it back. Able to find enough room to get it out across the 25. He's brought down at the 26. We'll see them really hit the speed button on the tempo here in the final minute of the first half. The quick out. And they'll spot it at the 38, and that'll be plenty for the first down. We got a timeout here late in the first half, and they'll try to get more points on the board before the break. Back in motion, try to clear the picture. That's caught. It's key. It's a seam wide open. Plenty of room on that play, and they find their way to the 36. The offense uses a timeout to stop the clock, and they'll get a quick breather. The give to the tailback. Just making a play, getting it to the 23-yard line. It'll be first down. Clock still running, almost certainly the last play of the half. They'll use a timeout right before halftime, maybe time for one or two more plays. And here comes the field goal unit. And this one will be a 40-yard try from the left hash. Never a doubt. Now the lead is down to 11. That late in the half field goal always gives you a little boost going to the locker room, and they'll need to finish off these final few seconds and not allow them to answer. They'll knock him down, and that'll take us to halftime. First half in the books. Time now to join Kevin Connors in our halftime update.
Man, a lot of ways to describe those first two quarters in Lincoln, but let's just go with notable. And how do we possibly begin without singing the praises of this receiver? His ability to find gaps, run textbook routes, and then show that breakaway speed. He simply is the total package. How this secondary responds, whether they try to double team him or get aggressive at the line, that'll be the story of this second half. With that said, let's send it back to the guys at Memorial Stadium.
They're lined up and ready to kick off this second half. On the run from inside his own 5. He was looking for more running room, but none to be found as he stopped at the 23. This drive opens up at the 23-yard line. Off play action on first down. Trying to make magic on the scramble. At the 35, he's got room.
And this QB, man, how about it? It's a pass play. He's dropping back to pass. He realizes it's man-to-man, and as they start to chase their guys down the field, well, nobody's got me, and I can just take off, and I've got speed. He chews up ground so easy, so frustrating for a defense to have to deal with a guy like this.
Off the play fake. Fires to the middle. He's got an open man. They bring him down, but the big play will move the sticks. It was quite a burden for Dylan Raiola a year ago, viewed as the Nebraska football savior. So, Jesse, how should he approach growth and improvement in his sophomore season?
Well, I think you got to continue to grow. There were a lot of eyes on Dylan Raiola last year, and for good reason. He is unbelievably talented, but you saw the swagger that he brings to the offense and that X factor and demeanor he really brings to the team. They believe in him. They were able to win a lot of close games a season ago. I think it's not about resting on your laurels. It's about taking the next step to try and be better.
And this offense can ill afford to come up empty on this drive, already trailing by multiple possessions. Just across the 20 with a first down at the 19. The Huskers kept this drive moving on the ground, now back to work. Now from inside the red zone. Grabbed in the middle, it's Key. That one takes it down to the 13-yard line. Operating in the red zone here on second down. Now the play fake. He's got it on the move. That completion gets them inside the 10, and the defense is running out of room to defend. Wants to throw. It's Raiola. Get it out on the screen. They'll get him stopped just short of the end zone, but they're in business here with a first down. And the Huskers had tough field position to start this drive, but they've been relentless in moving the ball methodically down the field. That is a big win for this defense, as they were right there as soon as he got the ball. Back to pass on second down. Pocket breaking down. And the sack all the way back at the 5.
And, man, this offense was sitting in such good position. I like the play call. I like being aggressive, but if you don't have something open right away, throw that football into the ground. Don't take a sack and now back yourself up and make it harder.
With these last two plays, they've just taken this drive and thrown it right into the fire. Can they snatch it out on 3rd and goal? Looking to throw. Got it behind the line. It's Johnson. And they've got him down after the short completion, but they inch closer and closer to pay dirt. He's looking to throw. Big guy smells it. He's not going to get there. Stopped short on 4th down. Listen to this crowd just shaking the girders of this place, trying to help their defense. Finds a hole, and he'll pick up 6 out to the 8-yard line. The Wolverines with a 2nd and short to keep this drive moving. They'll leave it with him. Pushes ahead for a couple. They'll mark it at the 10. 3rd down, and the Husker faithful getting loud, trying to make moving the chains impossible. To the ground to try to move the chains. They tried to go smash mouth on 3rd and short, and it did not work against this defense. So from his own end zone, the punt is away. Typically at this spot on the field, you make a fair catch. I'd call that risk aversive, but it is good field position. Looking for a man. It's Raiola. Fires to the wideout. And the physical play there forces the incompletion on 1st down. Working well behind the sticks on 2nd down. Looking to fire. Caught over the middle. It's Barney. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that 1st down marker. On 3rd and short, they'll try to convert through the air. Grab near the marker. It's Barney. They'll move the chains. Good execution on 3rd down. They've got it at the 41. Give to the running back. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play. Didn't get much on 1st down. It's 2nd and 9. Wants to go up top. Throws to the wideout. Intercepted. Big play. Stops the drive. Didn't get a chance to show off those return skills, but he gives his offense the ball at the 29.
There were a lot of people really excited about what this guy could do. Some were saying he could be an All-American, and he's proving them right. That's already his 2nd interception early in this college football season. Offenses are going to figure it out. They're going to stop throwing this guy's way. You just get in trouble when you try.
Let's see what they have dialed up as this drive starts from the 29-yard line. They'll send the tight end in motion. They'll ride the running back and leave it with him. And he never had a chance. Just stopped cold as soon as he got it. Try to make up for some of that lost ground on 2nd down. They'll try the run. And there was nowhere to go, just stopped in his tracks in the backfield. And the Wolverines need a massive chunk play to move the sticks here on third down. Unloads to the wideout. Can't make the connection on third down thanks to that tough, hard-nosed pass defense, and now it's fourth down. They boot it away. He's brought down, but a really solid effort to pick up every bit of yardage he could on the punt return. The Cornhuskers ready to go back to work on offense. And good coverage by the defense, just a short gain.
This guy's done a lot of good things early this year throwing the football. With that last completion, that now takes him over 1,000 yards passing for the year.
They'll line up for a second down play. Looking to pass, it's Raiola. Right on the money. They knock him down, but he's got enough to get it across the line and pick up the first down. Takes this handoff and headed to the right. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage. Wants to fire on second down. Got it in the middle, it's Markway. How about this backer in pass coverage and bringing the big hit stick with him too? No question they wanted to get the ball to their playmakers, and both receivers have come up big through three. One more period to go to see who can make the winning plays and come home with the victory. So we open the final period with a third down play. They turn to the passing game on third and short. And good hands there by the defense on that shot to the end zone. Now on fourth down, they'll send out the field goal unit. And that is no good. After the missed field goal, still down by 11.
And sometimes I just feel like fourth down, man, just go for it every time. Like the field goal miss, make rate. And listen, kickers have improved the last couple of years, but you left some points off the scoreboard there.
The give to the back. They'll get him down, but not before he crosses the 50. He's down to the 49. They say success rate can be picking up about 4 or so on first down, 1st and 10. Spins away from the defender. They get this sophomore on the ground, but he continues to make plays. Finally, some signs of life from this offense, which has done nothing in the second half. It's 1st and 10. They'll give it to the back. And how about that play by that giant, that mountain of a man on the defensive front? Softened him up with a run, and now to throw. Fires to the big fella. They stop him almost immediately. Short gain there, and still a little ground to cover to pick up the first. Back to throw, it's Underwood. Under fire. And the quarterback runs out of time, and down he goes at the 38.
Sometimes you beat your guy and you get sacked so clean, and sometimes, like on this play, the DBs do a great job covering, make the QB hold the football, and then the rush gets home.
And now on fourth down, they'll try a field goal. At this point in the game, and this crowd knows this is a huge field goal attempt. From 55 yards out, and he's got it. Never a doubt.
I really like the decision by this offense because now they got to score 2 touchdowns. Time is not on their side. I can stay very, very conservative. Use that clock. I like the decision by this offense.
Looking for an alley from inside his own 10. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. Wants to throw on first down. Got a man, it's Johnson. A little more space, open up that playbook even more as they pick up the first down out to the 30. To the air on first down. Wide open downfield. They'll get the first down. It's spotted on the 49. Last completion moves the sticks in. Let's see if they try it again. They'll go to the ground.
Really good surge that time by the offensive line. You saw all those bodies by the defense being pushed backwards. That opened up the crease for the ball carrier. He's able to get a really nice gain there, setting up 2nd and inches.
And he got smacked just as he released the pass. It's incomplete. The Cornhuskers come to the line trying to find a way to convert on 3rd and very short. Now with a great opportunity as they pick up the first down. They've got it at the 40. So they move the sticks on the run. Let's see what they do with this one. To the air, it's Raiola. Right down the middle. Got his man downfield. He's finally stopped, but not before he takes it into the red zone. They'll mark it at the 18. They're looking to pass from the red zone. Catch in the middle. It's Markway. They stop him just short of the first down, but it will be 2nd and inches coming up. It'll be 2nd down, and remember, they can pick up a first without scoring. They'll try it over the left side. Hauled down, but they'll move the sticks as he picks up the first down. The Huskers, once backed up in the shadow of their own goalpost, have put quite a drive together. Off the play fake on first down. Touchdown, Huskers! Fit it in the window for the score.
Defenses at some point are going to have to figure out how to slow this guy down because he already has 3 receiving touchdowns. We're only 4 games into the season. Nobody has an answer for this guy.
Lining up to add another. And it's up and good as they draw just a touch closer. And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Boys, if it's happening in college football, we've got eyes on it. Check this out. Memphis needs to pick up the pace, but this puppy is far from over. And with this crowd there in Bluff City behind them, I'm kind of banking on a comeback. They're trailing by 10 to Arkansas. We've got our eye on this one and everything else going on throughout the day. Guys?
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. Opening play of this drive will come from their own 23. Wants to throw on first down off the play fake. Lofts one high and deep. Makes the grab at the 30. Off to the races. And he ran away from the crowd, and he'll take it in. Touchdown, Michigan! They extend the lead here in the 4th, and after stumbling early, about to push their record to 3-1.
Well, the quarterback does a great job with his decision-making. He found the matchup he wanted one-on-one. His tight end's able to stretch the field. He makes the catch, and he does the rest of the work himself, running it into the end zone.
Lining up to tack one more onto that lead. Well, you could draw a line in the middle, and he would have hit that thing. That's the kind of drive everybody loves. OC, quarterback, one snap, put it in the end zone. Here's the return from inside his 10. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. They come to the line for the first play of the drive, snapping it from the 21. Big time play by the defense. He'll lose 4. Lost 5 on that first play, and now it's 2nd and 15. Back to throw, it's Raiola. Just a short pass to the tight end. And he goes out of bounds after a nice pickup on that one. Now facing a 3rd and long. Rushes on him. Pulls it in. It's Hunter. They stay aggressive and push their way out to the 33, and it's 1st down. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. And the Huskers have it with a 1st and 10. He'll pull it on the read. Got the 1st down and still on his feet. They make the stop, but there is a flag on the field. We'll see what that's all about.
Offside, defense.
So the offense will decline that penalty after the big play. The Cornhuskers, after exploding for that huge run, back to work. Wants to go up top on 1st down. Grabbed over the middle. It's Hunter. They get it down to the 35 before he's stopped. 10-yard pickup on the play, and it's a 1st down. Looking to throw on 1st down. Quarterback feeling that pressure, and he's knocked down at the 42.
And I love playing man coverage on the back end, getting in those receivers' faces. Don't let them feel comfortable and run zone where they can find all these holes in the zone, and my rush can't get home. Pressure them, pressure them, pressure them.
The Huskers with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Dropping back, it's Raiola. They're setting up the screen. He goes out of bounds, but not before getting it to the 32.
Listen, running backs are not just running backs anymore. You're going to be a wide receiver in today's football, and a great job sneaking out of the backfield, getting him the football, letting him get some positive yards.
They've got to come up with a big play on this 3rd and long. From the gun, wants to pass. Pressure coming. Oh, and he took a shot as he threw that one away. Down by multiple possessions, you can't come up empty on this drive. They'll go for it on 4th down. Big man has it. It's a 1st down and more. Turns out to be an easy conversion for this offense as they move the chains on 4th down. And the Huskers started this drive backed up in their own end, and now they've moved into position to score. He's dragged down at the 12 as they try to cash in on this red zone opportunity. It'll be 2nd down, and remember, they can pick up a 1st without scoring. And the pressure gets there, and down he goes at the 18. Now 3rd and long, and trying to play catch-up in more ways than one after that earlier sack. Looking for the end zone. Right through his hands. He had a touchdown and just didn't look the ball in. It'll be 4th down. He'll try to throw and pick up the 1st down. Touchdown, Cornhuskers! Grabbed in the end zone to put 6 on the board. That big score makes the end of this game very interesting.
No doubt the offense got what they needed. More work to do, but you had to get this part accomplished first.
He'll try to tack on one more. And the extra point is good as they close to within a touchdown, 24-17. They're set to kick it off. You think this crowd's going to get loud when their defense comes on the field? And he takes this from inside the 5. Didn't find any crease in that kickoff coverage, and he'll be stopped at the 17. First snap of this drive will come from their own 17. They'll run it, trying to drain time off the clock. They'll knock him down after a pickup of 1 to the 18. Timeout called by the defense. It's their first of the half as they'll go to the sideline and try to make adjustments. Scanning the field, it's Underwood. And the defense makes a play, sacking him back at the 10. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. Now a lot of work to do to move the chains, keep this drive alive after that earlier sack. On 3rd and long, no secret what he needs here. Got it in the middle, it's McCulley. He's going to come up a couple of yards short of the first down. The Wolverines decide to punt it away. They may have to pay him overtime. He's punting for the 5th time today. Yet another punt on the way. Got to make sure that hamstring stays loose. He's been busy. Working his way on the return up to the 40-yard line before he stopped. So the defense trying to protect the lead, but they could also put a punctuation mark on this thing and end it with a big turnover.
And how about the defense? How big was that stop? Forcing the punt, getting it back to the offense, and all of a sudden, you feel the momentum now on their side.
Rides the back on the option, the give. That is a big win for this defense as they were right there as soon as he got the ball. Looking to throw for it. Grab near the sticks. It's Key. He's got first down yardage across the 50. They'll mark it at the 49. Power football with the run. And he finds some solid space, makes a nice gain before the defense is able to stop him. Everybody has to be set. They have to get it off. To the air on 2nd down. Finds his man in the middle. He stops him at the 31, but not before. He picks up 10 yards on the play. Looking for a man. It's Raiola. Fires to the right. Got his man. And he's knocked down immediately, but not before he moves the chains. They go to the ground. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Calling a timeout here, you have to avoid making a mistake in this situation. So now it's 2nd and long. Back to pass. He's got him. That completion takes them down to the 7-yard line, and they are ready to strike. They'll go to the air on 3rd and short. That pass not close as he got drilled trying to deliver it, and it'll bring up 4th down. This offense believes you are given 4 downs for a reason. You've got to use all of them. 2 for 3 so far today. He stopped short, and they'll turn it over. What a huge stand by this defense. Out of the gun, the give to the back. Never underestimate the power of moving forward and creating breathing room. He's up to the 17. It came down to the final quarter. Clutch plays, guys delivered, and they get a close win.
Yeah, Reese, big-time players make big plays in big games, and that's what happened in this circumstance. As a coaching staff, David, you love this. You know that you have confidence in your guys to go out and be able to execute when it matters the most.
Correct, and you don't know until the games, right? You don't know when those moments present themselves. How are they going to handle it? Great job handling a close game, executing down the stretch like they needed to.
That's going to do it from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and you've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.